Getting set up. Good morning. There we go. We're all set up and ready to roll. Oh, forgot my Good morning, everybody. Hello over there on Twitch. Just getting set up. Nice lazy Sunday morning, right? Got a dog under my feet and pencils and pens in front of me. Pretty good, I think. We had a good week at school. We had a great guest artist come in, Mr. Ian McCaig. Very amazing concept artist. Got to hang out with him a bit while he was here, and of course deal with his lectures and presentations and all that. So that was really good. Alright, pencil. So starting up a little morning study here. Been doing some figure and kind of drapery type studies. So that's what we got going on. Do I have any pig pieces? I don't know what that means. Do I have any big pieces? What do you mean? Like I do big paintings and drawings and all kinds of things. This is like a standard size sketchbook here, but I got a bunch of different things I've worked on. Actually, the oh look, we've got a spammer. Usually they come from Twitch side, not from the Kick side, which is funny. But biggest painting I ever did, it's a mural for a gas station company in the Rocky Mountains states. So like Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Idaho, I think Nevada. They printed, I did it on the computer and printed it out, but or they printed it out. But it was 140 some odd feet long and 14 feet tall. So that one was pretty big. Back when I made it in like 2008 to 2000, well, let's see, 2006, 2008. It took like 2 hours to open and save when I was working on it. But there are some limits, so I'm kind of live streaming just because the way the camera is over my desk. I've got a I guess I could swap the lens out, but got a telephoto lens up there. Just so I can, if I want to, I can zoom in like really tight, like that. Um, but this is normally the size I kind of work on when I'm here. I've done large paintings before, like 4 by 4 feet, or some longer, some shorter. Oil landscapes and things like that. So, um, yeah. So it's not stuff I've really worked on online, just because I don't know how practical that is. But and this again is my morning study kind of warm up routine. So it's kind of a different animal. For a moment, I'm gonna go over there and delete that comment. There we go. All gone. All kinds of things. So. Alright, let's see. Good morning. Alright. That was fun, like finding some of these outfits on Pinterest that got like some crazy folds, and so yeah. But it's kind of how I start the morning off, is doing some morning studies. So if I get busy or whatever, I know this happens every single day, and Good morning. All right. Good morning, people coming in. Good morning, people coming in. Happy Sunday. Good morning. You do want to see if I have pig pieces, huh? Everybody's got their thing, I suppose, right? Everybody's got the whatever gets you up in the morning. I don't think I've ever drawn a pig. And I probably have, well, maybe I have, but I know I've done like the origami pigs when I was a kid, like, holding animals and stuff like that. All right. Whew. Stylus. Yeah, somebody's calling down the diss tracks or something. Bramble study is going okay. This is my morning study thing. I think on the Twitch and other ones, like the name doesn't update properly when I start up in the morning. But those are going good. Looking forward to this week is our final week of classes for the semester, so I'm going to have way more time. We're also kind of finalizing the big project I've been working on over the last year, which is revamping our illustration concentration at my university where I teach, and I think we finally got it all kind of sorted out. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. Have a lot more time. It's been a little bit of a busy semester. Normally it's not this busy, but due to the things that I had to get taken care of, it kind of got away from me a bit. But looking forward to what we got going on. Plus, I had a really inspiring visit with Ian McCaig this week. Who's really really amazing, impactful concept artist, and he came out to our school. Well, that's part of the, that's one of the differences I think between one of the things that gets lost, I think, because a lot of people get nervous about, say, online education taking the place of universities or or in-person education, because like it's convenient, you're at home, and I think online education is really important and helpful. It's very useful to have, but there's something about being in the classroom with other students working on the same projects together. Having an instructor there kind of looking at what you're doing while you're actually present in person, not just, over a Zoom. And that I think makes a big difference, and I think people forget that. Oh, look, another bot. I have to go delete that. Yeah, Ian McCaig. Let me see. He designed Darth Maul. That's probably his most famous design. Let me go and delete that guy off of there real quick. Block. There we go. But I got him to sign my book, which is great. But let's see, where's his? I think it's toward the back here. did I go too far? You gotta put a bookmark in. For some reason, it's hard to find the page. It's like a big drawing in here, but I should be getting close. There it is. So yeah, I got to sign my book, but this is his art in here. There's a bunch of art in the Art of Prequels books. But let's see, some Tara Whitlatch or some more Ian stuff. This is Ian McCaig here. But yeah, this is really old stuff. Like this goes back to the 90s, right? Yeah, look him up. He's really amazing. He gave a great presentation on storytelling and the importance of using that as your kind of focus for how you develop your ideas and the things that you actually want to make. Because a lot of people get caught up in what's called world building, and some of us forget where we put our pen down and disappeared. Up there. I thought I put it in here. Oh, there it is. But kind of having a story gives you parameters for everything you design. So he did a workshop on that. Yeah, that's the thing is like his designs are very memorable, right? It's very rare for us to have like a design like that sticks out. And even the movies themselves weren't very good. I didn't like the prequels at all. I was excited when they were first coming out, but it was, after kind of the second one especially, it was just like, really? Is this what we're gonna get? But again, that Darth Maul character is just absolutely a memorable character design. So memorable, in fact, even though they killed him off in the movie, he wasn't going to use very much. They keep bringing him back. He showed up in the Solo movie. I guess there's going to be a Disney Plus series based on him. And so, it's just one of those things where it's like, well, we came with this really great design and character, and we got to keep bringing him back. So, and of course, McCaig's worked on all kinds of things over the years, but that's, I think, probably his most famous design. But yeah, he was out here and inspiring our students, and we spent a lot of time in class the days after, going over kind of what their impressions were, what they might do with what he had to say. Oh yeah, yeah, but yeah, there's a reason why he's as popular as he is. He did tell some stories I was a little dubious of during his lecture presentation, but we'll see. But I think a lot of it has to do just with his desire for storytelling. They're coming off so thick there. Yep, have a good one. I'm just on here for the next half hour or so, I might be back later. Depends on how much I can get done today. Got homework to do, grading that I need to get caught up on. Yep, they're always welcome. So, questions over? Nothing over there. Just checking. Well, it'd show up, I guess, up there too. But let's see. I guess I could zoom in on the Instagram side, huh? Everybody see the announcement from Cal Arts that they put out on their Instagram? They are not getting, I think, the response they thought they were going to get off of it. Anybody see that? I don't know if people picked up on that or not. No? They announced that they got a big donation from Chanel, the fashion brand, to open up a AI division inside of their school. A little institute on integrating AI and the arts. And they're very excited about that. So if you go look at their most recent post on Instagram, it is full of comments about how people are not okay with this. Apparently no professors were consulted about this. It's just all done through administration. And some of the people are pointing out, like, a lot of, I guess, the infrastructure problems at the school where they, things are falling apart, and there's all kinds of real building problems, and they're not dealing with that. But then they're opening up this, getting a bunch of money to open up this kind of AI institute or something with Chanel. So, but the comments there are gold, because a lot of former students and people are there just like ripping on them, saying, like, what are you doing? This isn't for us. We don't want it. We thought about this, or this other thing. Well, you've seen that at a number of schools. Like Ringling added a AI concentration or minor or whatever they're calling it, certificate, I think is the word they used. Um, I'd be curious to know how popular that is. So SCAD's bragging about integrating it into their school. I'm sure most of the students still don't want it there. I just don't know what it adds to anybody's education. People talk like it's not going anywhere, but it's not really going forward either. It's like they can't get people to pay for this stuff. So it's like, how long is that going to last? So that's going on. What's the reason? The reasoning is they believe it is the future. Administration people believe it is the future. Some department chairs do as well, but that's the reasoning. And then also people giving the money. I know, like my school's wanting to integrate things. My university overall. Like I saw, there was like a writing workshop in AI recently for people. I thought about going to those just to like disrupt things a bit, be a problem, but go in there and point out how stupid they are, and that their failure to learn to write is kind of telling. And but yeah, there's people that think, well, there's a technology that exists, therefore it is the future, and there's not really much of a future in LLMs. Like, you start reading into what they are, like maybe there's a few things that they can do that might be useful for finding like patterns in certain things or whatever. But at the same time, one of the things that they're finding is that the more data there is, the more hallucinations are happening, and the more dramatic they are. I'd rather not be paying any attention to LLMs at all, but because I've got teachers in my own department that want students to use it, because they lack, I guess, their own creativity to a certain degree, or they don't trust students to be creative or learn creativity, something. But been seeing that quite a bit, and I'm not sure why this is happening. But, well, I think I do kind of understand why. I just don't like the reason why very much. So, but you're really seeing kind of a division among people who want to do their own creativity and others who just want to be told what to make. And it's been an interesting debate to see it kind of go on and on and on. And so, but I think it stems just from people's lack of confidence in themselves a lot of the time, and the lack that belief that they don't have sufficient creativity and insight, and they think that, well, if I can get this machine to do it for me, I can look like I'm doing something amazing. Yeah, I know, it's like, it doesn't make any sense to me either. Like, I look at it, like, on the face of it, it's just like, why? Like, it doesn't add anything. Like, even if, like, say the image generators and that become, or text generators become like the thing that people need to use in their jobs, as an example, even if that's the case, so say that 100% becomes the future job market, everyone just becomes prompters. It takes 10 minutes to learn how to use these tools or these algorithms. Like, it doesn't take any time at all, and so we don't really add anything to a student's experience by integrating it into our course materials, like, at all. In fact, it kind of gets in the way of their ability development to do so, I think, anyway. Um, but yeah. Yeah, but if you go to CalArts Instagram, it's their most at least it was their most recent post when I checked today. Um, but like studies are coming out showing like the explicit harm that relying on these algorithms does to people, and it's like it's not ambiguous at all. But the people that I know that demand data, they seem to reject that kind of data out of hand. Um, so yeah, I like my brain understands their rationale. I just think it's stupid. Like it's like, why would you do this to people? Why, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And so um, yeah, just it's a real problem that I'm kind of dealing with in schools. But I'm excited. I've been working all year long on developing a new illustration concentration inside of the major, and we are almost done. I got to spend some time kind of just rewording some stuff today, going over things. Then Wednesday we'll have a big final meeting about it. Hopefully, be able to hand it off to the paperwork people, and then it will go into place. Well, probably some stuff to do in the fall with it, just to kind of clean things up. But it will then go into place starting in 2027 with the freshman of 2026. We'll pick it up in 2027. It's a long wait, but it's just, that's how it works with getting the paperwork and everything out. But we'll have it like partially in place by then too. So like a lot of the classes students will be able to take before it starts. We'll set them up as electives and other things to kind of test run everything. But yeah, I think it will be a big benefit for students. I'm excited. I think we're going to be able to start helping them be more competitive as they get out of school. Get into things like Society of Illustrator shows or Lightbox student shows and things like that. So I just see a lot of possibility in there for building out a better work. Yeah, I work at a school. So I teach at Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia. So I've taught at a bunch of places. This is where I've ended up so far. It's actually kind of a rare position that I have, and I need to get on some of the aspects of it that are outside of what I've been working on. But But yeah, I have a tenure track research position, which means I'm not supposed to teach as much as I am, and I'm not supposed to do as much service as I've been doing, which service things like building out our curriculum. Um, and then but yeah, I'm here as I teach. I'm a assistant professor of concept design. So I don't think there's any position like that anywhere in the country that's also a tenure track and a research position. Might be the only one in the world, as far as I know. But I have a good time, with students and everything. But we got some really amazing people teaching here too. But some of them again are down with the AI thing, which I don't understand. But they're really skilled and insightful in other ways. But then they're like, "Yeah, this is the future." And I'm like, am I missing something in the discussion that I'm not aware of, or some kind of special insight as to what it's for? Or I don't. Maybe I'm not, and I'm just flummoxed by other people's strangeness. But but Bramble Project, I'm hoping to jump into this summer. I've got some short stories while I'm kind of finalizing the larger one that I think would be fun to do, and it's just been hard to kind of get any focus on it since I've been teaching so much this semester, among other doing this rework of the entire program. Basically, kind of coming in and disrupting like a lot of stuff, which I think some people are going to have mixed feelings about for sure. But I think it will help in the long run, and short run too. But I think it'll make a big difference. Oh yeah, no, students love all kinds of stuff. So there's always people talking about students this way, or this generation is this way or that way. And there's some differences and things like that in their interests. But I've generally found that like the kind of wilder, I guess, claims about people tend not to be that true of most students. There might be some that feel a certain way or this way or that way about things, or technology or working hard or whatever, different reputations for different generations. But I've just generally found that most the students I've had, most of the time they want to learn how to do and make cool things. They want to learn how to tell their stories. They want to, build a future where they could maybe have a job doing something they like. I appreciate that over there on Kick. That's generally what I found. Like, if you give students a challenge or a project that's worth doing, they'll do a lot to get it done. And just kind of assume that. There are students that don't, but usually they kind of remove themselves from the system gradually. They fail out early because they just don't do anything. And so I don't worry about those ones. Or, they don't show up. So, that's kind of them. So, but yeah, a lot of students, yeah, they are interested in traditional media. They're interested in digital stuff. You know, they all love their iPads, of course, um, and Procreate. Um, so, I definitely think there's a lot that we can do for them. Oh, hello, South Africa. Hope all is well over there. Good morning, people popping in over on Instagram. But yeah, but having someone like Ian McCaig come in and lecture and present and help students kind of look at the things that they're interested in, I think was very impactful for them. And for me too, it got me thinking about the course that I've put together and other courses I'm going to be putting together, and really paying a little more attention to certain aspects of it, like the initial story phase, rather than saving that for the end. Putting a lot more of that at the beginning, and so. No, Ian McCaig from Darth Maul. Ian McCaig. Let's see. We were just talking about it before, so I got my Art of Episode 1 book out over here. This is Ian McCaig. So, fantastic concept artist and draftsman. It's a nice Gunga warrior there, right? Yeah, he was here Monday and Tuesday of this last week, doing workshops and a lecture with their students. We met him last fall at Lightbox, and brought him out to impart his wisdom to our students. Hello, Turkey. But so we were excited about that. I got to be his tech support guy while he was here. I was helping him make sure he could broadcast his screens and make sure his audio stuff is working properly. So so that was a lot of fun. Let's see, where am I going to sketch here? That face is a little janky. Trying to just inserting some invented faces. The 3/4 standard view, but I try to push myself to do these kind of unusual views of people, and they don't always land as well because they're harder to do, I guess. We put a really good emphasis on storytelling and kind of using that as your foundation for everything. He was telling students, the first thing you do when you're working on a group project with people, what is the very, very first thing you do? And it's like, people are like, it's concept or storytelling or this or that. He's like, no, come up with a contract that defines everybody's roles and in the partnership. Which I thought was, thoughtful. But yeah, well, he had it's basically what he taught was based off of his storytelling class you can get on Gnomen.com. Gnmon, and he basically he does like a retelling of the Little Mermaid, but in space. And anyway, he says the point is you got to have a story because that kind of defines the parameters of all the things you want to design and make, and the story you want to tell. So it tells you what kind of the limits are of what you need. So all the settings and the characters and equipment or details or whatever else you're going to need. It kind of helps define that more narrowly. And I sort of do that with my concept drawing class. I give them kind of a framework that we work in during the semester. It kind of keeps people from wandering too far astray. And but I think I could emphasize that story aspect, who the characters are a little bit more, and can help make it better for them. I'm always looking for insight like that to help me out with making stuff cooler. So, yeah, but students felt really inspired by it. Felt a lot better about, I think, what's going on out there and things that they can do to let's go for our unusual view. So, yeah, definitely recommend checking that out. If you haven't seen it, it's the his storytelling workshop there by Ian McCabe. He goes through and kind of does rough kind of storyboards of everything. I kind of used it actually for my own little project. I kind of rough storyboard things out, so because I didn't know what everything was going to look like, I just kind of threw down a bunch of boards, and that was what I did. Last fall, I put down the initial story treatment, and then that kind of gave me enough framework to start the writing, start designing locations and the characters in that. I need to go back and revise the story because I've learned things about the characters to a certain degree that I want to update to I think make it a lot better. But it's kind of a back and forth process for that, and hopefully make something interesting. I saw that Sean Gordon Murphy's going to do more Batman White Knight. Which I have mixed feelings about. He's such an amazing artist, but I'm not really a big fan of his writing because he kind of does the same. The writing's comprehensible and it works and all that, but it's just kind of he does the same little trick over and over again, and I don't know. But the art should be good, right? More Batman and vehicles and everything from Sean. So, So I guess that ear would be lower down. Yeah, the absolute Batman stuff. I don't know. Just yeah, I've read it, and it's just goofy. But I guess maybe it's better than what else is going on. I did see Jim Lee starting a new Hush. I was looking at the art for it. And it's like it's good, but it's not like top tier Jim Lee. It looks pretty rough. I don't know if it's like is it a different inker on there or something? But I know people are excited. There's a lot of high drama in that absolute Batman thing. So I think people are liking that a lot. A lot of brutal fighting and action. They're saying he's not killing anybody, but it sure looks like he is to me. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on. I need to get down. I'd like to go and pick up those Ghost Machine. What's it called? The Rook Exodus books. I think the Comic Chucks, the local one, I think is closed on Sunday. So keep meaning to though. But I think people will be, I have no doubt that the White Knight stuff will sell. Apparently, he signed some kind of exclusive contract with DC. I don't know. I don't think has Sean ever done any Marvel stuff? So I think he's only ever done DC and other. Yeah, that one was good. I've got the hardcover for that back behind me. I wish it was like a larger library version. Yeah, I've got the hardcover for that. It's pretty nice. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I was just kind of thinking about that. I noticed, he hasn't done any Marvel stuff as far as I know. Maybe covers or something, but no books. Seems like Sean Gordon Murphy, Daredevil or Moon Knight or X-Men would would sell like crazy. Him doing some kind of Iron Man comic would be really interesting. But I doubt Marvel's willing to pay him what they would need to get him to do that. If I had to guess. Yeah. I think maybe covers, maybe. But I'm not even sure about that. I always kind of hate, though, this kind of modern thing with comics where, like, the interior artist isn't doing the major covers for it for some reason. It's like you open up. I always hated that, like, if there was, like, a different artist doing the cover and the interior was by somebody else. When I was more actively buying kind of individual issues. It's like, you don't think the artist is good enough to sell it, then why would it be, the interiors? Yeah, I can't think of anything. I know, I just know his Rick Remender stuff. He did a thing with Scott Snyder. He did his own stuff, and then he's done stuff with DC, as far as I know. Hello over there on Kick. Yeah. Well, I think what it is, they're instead of like getting people in to actually read the books, they're just looking at these as like collectors items, like they're selling commemorative plates or something like that, and I don't know. I think that's that only really works if the people collecting it are actually sincere about what they're collecting, rather than just being strictly a speculative market. And I think it only works for so long. So you compare the sales that DC Marvel do these days with what they were doing in the 90s and the 80s and 70s. Like, I think I read somewhere that like 100,000 copies could get you canceled in the 80s. Like, and now that's like a shocking bestsellers to sell 100,000 copies of something. Um, yeah. Or it was like a special event. Maybe that's okay. There's like but it seems just like all of them are that way these days. And it's just like, okay, cover this and cover that, and I guess it gives more people more work, but yeah. But yeah, not a fan of that practice. Maybe it's like special anniversary or again special event or something like that maybe, but say they like a certain number issue or whatever, they bring back somebody to do a cover for that that or whatever. But it seems like they just do it for every single book that gets put out now. Well, yeah, manga has a big appeal. I think I saw somebody was just kind of pointing out that one of the things we kind of don't see with manga, because we just get the quote unquote good stuff here, is all the stuff that doesn't work out, because that just doesn't get translated into English and then sent over here. Um, and so it'd be like us, sending only the Deadly Duo over to Japan, as opposed to every single issue of Batman. Or, you send over Days Future Past or something like that, but not every issue of X-Men. So, and then of course in Japan it's also kind of seen as more normal to read comics, like it's more common, just always been that way. And whereas in the US it was kind of seen as a niche activity. I think still is in a lot of ways, and manga seems, I guess, more culturally, I guess, friendly for people. Like, girls like reading it, especially because there's different kinds of drama going on in it than you see in your standard comics. And then the TV shows, all the anime shows people like, are based off of them as well. So kids will want to read the manga for their favorite anime. Yeah, and it's weird because they were doing some weird stuff. So like during the high level popularity of the Marvel movies, they did kind of this character swap thing. So they got rid of like all the major characters that you see in the movies, and they swapped them out for, it's like they swapped out the Hulk for a different character completely. So they made like a new Hulk, a new Iron Man, that Ironheart girl, new Captain America, and they were doing this all the Marvel movies were doing really, really well. But then they if you went to the comic book shop and you wanted to buy a comic about Captain America you just saw in the movie, it wasn't there. But just seems like a strange thing to do if they're trying to bolster sales. So one of the things that comics pros rely on is not just the price they get paid to do the book, but the subsequent potential royalties, and that's where the older guys got to really benefit from the books they used to do. The 80s and early 90s, and that was they would get paid on the back end, so they might only make. And I didn't know about royalties when I was a kid, but otherwise I might have looked at comics more seriously growing up. But I didn't understand that if a book was selling 100,000 copies or 1,000,000 copies, the artist was getting a lot more than what they originally got paid for to do the book, and it just doesn't happen as much anymore. And that makes a big difference. It's like people that do children's books, they might only get paid, say, 10 grand or something to do a children's book, and that can take a long time to do, right? If you're a highly detailed children's book artist, it'll take you months, if not a year, to do that, and that's not a lot of money to get paid for that kind of labor. But if they do a really amazing job and it gets picked up, it can make a lot more money than that. In the I almost splat that on my drawing. Just a little too wet in the pen. But no, so yeah, it's just kind of weird that they have did that to themselves. I still don't really understand it. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of talk about. I think if you've been on Twitter at all, like Rob Liefeld is on a tear now that he's kind of detached himself from Marvel, retired, quote unquote. He's just been going hard after the big two in terms of like how they treat their artists and what they pay, and their marketing, their leadership. Like he's just been going after him like crazy. It's been pretty entertaining, but because say what you will about whatever inadequacies his drawing has. He makes impactful stuff that sells, and you know, uh, characters that he originally designed. Certainly, other people have done other things with him over the years, but you know, without him, there wouldn't have been a big selling Deadpool movie this last year. That's just a fact. And you can complain about his feet or his chest drawings of Captain America or whatever, but you're still going to pay to watch that movie. And Cable and all those other guys, it's just kind of undeniable. And yeah, and here was a guy. I don't think he ever went to school. I don't think he ever had any real formal training in art, or business for that matter. And so that's all pretty amazing. He was able to adapt to all of that, and get deals from these companies to get paid on the back end. One of the reasons I guess that they hesitated to make a Deadpool movie for so long was that they had to pay him, because the deal he'd worked out when he came up with Daredevil and Domino and I keep saying Daredevil, Deadpool, Domino and Cable and these other characters is he worked out a deal where he insisted they be a certain way, and he had a certain kind of ownership attached to them, and it made them really hesitant to actually make the films because they had to pay him. But you look at the value he's generated versus pretty much anybody else in the last 30 years for Marvel, in terms of original storytelling, original characters. It's hard to find somebody who's done more, if at all. And you see how little new, really creative ideas have come out of these companies ever since they stopped giving their creators ownership. And it's why would they? Why would you hand over your best ideas to Marvel and DC? You're going to give them your B and C tier level work because you don't get any equity in it. You don't get any ownership. And you want to kill your golden goose. That's a great way of doing it. But it's why would you want to go other than get your name on a resume? Get their names on your resume. There's no real reason to go work for those companies anymore. You can do your own thing. Build your own audience and your own work and your own stories and have all of it. Without them telling you what to do. And that's it's a pretty exciting thing, I think. But anyway, that's my morning study for today. I'm going to get moving on the rest of the day. I've got chores to do, paperwork, homework to grade, things that I don't like doing, but, gotta get done. So, thanks everybody that came in. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later.